Some mainland visitors coming south one day early to start the National Day Golden Week. Hamas says it will study Donald Trump's peace plan before responding. Still no deal between Democrats and Republicans as U.S. government shutdown looms. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Former chairman of the political party Democista Nathan Law, a fugitive with a $1 million bounty for his arrest, has reportedly been denied entry into Singapore and sent back to the United States. Chief Executive John Lee said today, no country should harbor criminals.
32-year-old Nathan Law is wanted by the National Security Department of the police for allegedly inciting secession and colluding with foreign forces. He is also wanted by the ICAC for allegedly urging people to boycott elections. According to reports, Law flew into Singapore last Saturday, but was denied entry into the city-state and subsequently put on a flight back to the U.S. With Singapore and Hong Kong having an extradition agreement, Chief Executive John Lee was asked whether the Hong Kong government had requested Law's extradition. Lee says the Hong Kong SAR government will hold fugitives legally accountable for life, adding that no country should shelter criminals. Meanwhile, newly appointed U.S. Consul General to Hong Kong and Macau, Julie Ide, Gregory May's successor, reportedly hosted a cocktail reception recently, with former Chief Secretary Anson Chan and former Democratic Party Chairwoman Emily Lau among the attendees. The central government's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office reposted articles by Hong Kong newspaper Ta Kung Po 3 times, criticizing the diplomat for colluding with anti-China elements in Hong Kong.
Consuls has the responsibility to abide by relevant international conventions and established diplomatic practices. They should perform their duties in Hong Kong in a manner befitting their diplomatic status and refrain from interfering in China's internal affairs and Hong Kong's affairs under any pretext or in any form.
Earlier, Cui Jian-chun, Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Office in Hong Kong, says that Ide must not interfere in China's internal affairs or Hong Kong matters.
Speaking almost a week after Super Typhoon Ragasa lashed Hong Kong, Chief Executive John Lee said the government had put response and recovery measures in place ahead of the storm and will review the experience to minimize future damage. The city leader also said the government will consider legal measures to stop irresponsible behaviors during severe weather.
Ragasa brought to Hong Kong the second hurricane signal number 10 of the year. The observatory said it was the second strongest tropical cyclone ever recorded in the South China Sea. Chief Executive John Lee said today that various departments have worked in unison before and after the storm to keep damage to a minimum. The city leader thanked media for the continuous storm coverage and frontline journalists for reporting conditions on the ground, which he said helped the public stay informed and strengthen the city's collective resilience. Although the storm's overall force was weaker than Super Typhoon Mangkhut in 2018, as it has skirted further away from the city, many districts have been hit hard. Lee has asked the government steering committee on handling extreme weather to conduct a full review. He said the government will study ways to further strengthen infrastructure, facilities and equipment in areas vulnerable to storms to better safeguard Hong Kong against future extreme weather. Lee also criticized storm chasers for acting irresponsibly during the typhoon. He said the government will consider legal measures to curb reckless behaviors during severe weather. He said the police have arrested 4 people, underlining the administration's efforts to hold such individuals accountable.
In the murder case of Abby Choy, the model's former mother-in-law, Jenny Lee, has been found guilty of perverting the course of justice. The verdict was handed down at the district court. Prosecutors say the 63-year-old defendant concealed the whereabouts of her son Alex Kwong, the key suspect in the Taipei Lome village dismemberment case. The judge criticized the defendant for having given inconsistent and incomplete testimony, noting that she claimed to have a hazy memory regarding crucial details about her son being wanted by police, facts that the judge says should have been etched in her memory. During the police investigation into Choi's disappearance, the judge says Lee had deliberately misled the officers verbally, clearly intending to obstruct the investigation. The case dates back to February 2 years ago, when model Abby Choy was murdered and dismembered. Her ex-husband Alex Kwong and his father and brother were charged with murder. Two of Kwong's friends were also charged with helping him arrange to flee Hong Kong by boat. Both were previously convicted of perverting the course of justice and sentenced to 6 months in prison. The 8-day National Day Golden Week and Mid-Autumn Festival holiday begins tomorrow. Chief Executive John Lee says he has instructed various government departments to make thorough preparations to ensure visitors have a good experience in the city. Timothy Lee reports.
As the Golden Week holiday approaches, at the West Kowloon High-Speed Rail Station, many mainland tourists choose to travel a day earlier to avoid the travel rush. Mainland tourist Eric says many, like him, have come a day early, and he plans to take a look and shop around Hong Kong. Some visitors offered same-day return trips over multiple days. This Shenzhen tourist says she's planning to visit Victoria Harbour and the Peak today, and as the high-speed train is convenient, they just want to have some fun and head back home, noting that booking a hotel is too expensive. Chief Executive John Lee says about 1.54 million mainland visitors are expected to visit Hong Kong during the 8-day holiday, around 11% more than last year and higher than the number during the Lunar New Year and Labor Day holidays. Around 1,200 tour groups are expected. Lee says given the large number of visitors, he hopes all travelers will have a good experience, noting he has instructed all departments to make the necessary arrangements to ensure activities can proceed in an orderly manner. At border control points, additional inspection counters and channels will be open to ease passenger and vehicle flows. Immigration authorities earlier estimated that October 1st will be the peak travel day, with about 610,000 people expected to enter Hong Kong. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge shuttle buses, known as the Golden Buses, Huanggang cross-border buses, and MTR cross-boundary train services will increase their service frequencies. Police will deploy manpower for crowd management during the National Day fireworks display. Traffic and crowd control measures will also be put in place at the east dam of Hai Island Reservoir in Sai Kung during peak periods. The Transport Department has coordinated with minibus operators to ratchet up services on Route 9A with reserved backup vehicles and drivers. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Hamas said it would discuss U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza within the group and with other Palestinian factions before responding. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already thrown his support behind the proposal. The plan calls for an effective Hamas surrender in a 2-year war that has claimed more than 66,000 Palestinian lives. Nasir Karim with more.
It's the Trump and Netanyahu show. The satirical video of Trump's Gaza from earlier this year is playing out in Washington and Israel, with the U.S. president saying his 20-point peace plan for the war-torn, famine-stricken enclave has been accepted by Netanyahu and many Arab nations. The Israeli prime minister has, for the first time, publicly backed a plan for peace. They are now waiting for Hamas to accept the deal, which would mean the end of the Gaza rulers as an armed group and a political entity. If they decline, U.S. will let Israel loose on Gaza.
Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.
I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East. And I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Among the main points of the plan, Hamas must disarm and destroy their weapons. All 48 hostages, living and dead, must be released within 72 hours. Israel releases 250 Palestinians serving life sentences and 1,700 detained during the war. Gaza comes under international control with an international security force moving in. A board of peace is to be established, headed by Trump and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. Israeli troops will continue to surround Gaza. The Palestinian Authority that governs the West Bank will be reformed to eventually rule Gaza, which will lead to a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, even though such a plan has been totally rejected by Netanyahu and his hardline supporters in the Israeli government. Reports say Hamas leaders who will be offered amnesty or allowed to leave the enclave have been given a copy of the plan and have vowed to study it with sincerity. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Talks could go late into the night to avoid a partial U.S. government shutdown. There's no consensus as opposition leaders in the U.S. Congress stood firm in crunch talks with President Donald Trump. If no deal is struck, federal funding runs out at midday on Wednesday, Hong Kong time. David Garrett with more.
Donald Trump met with the 4 US Congress leaders, but a government shutdown looms large. Trump, the deal maker, admits a partial stoppage is a possibility. The Democrats not giving an inch, saying the president doesn't care about the health of Americans.
We are not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of everyday Americans. Period. Full stop.
Hard-working taxpayers in America, they want to take your funds and give that for benefits to illegal aliens. They want to restore that because we got rid of it. They want to prop up left-leaning media outlets. $500 million they threw in on top of that.
Both sides blaming the other after fruitless discussions at the White House. House Republicans have passed the spending bill. The Democrats have not allowed it through the Senate. The shutdown would not impact all Americans. National parks would likely close. Some public workers, like those at the IRS, may not get paid. Medicare and Social Security payments continue. Chuck Schumer helped broker a deal 6 months ago, but this time the Democratic Senate leader says Trump needs to listen and include their ideas.
For the first time, the president heard our objections and heard why we needed a bipartisan bill. Their bill has not one iota of Democratic input. That is never how we've done this before.
Disagreements about tax policy, but you don't shut that government down. We have disagreements about health care policy, but you don't shut the government down. You don't use your policy disagreements as leverage to not pay our troops, to not have essential services of government actually function. You don't say the fact that you disagree about a particular tax provision is an excuse for shutting down the people's government and all the essential services that come along with it.
J.D. Vance going back into the White House. It remains to be seen if he comes back to the negotiating table. David Garrett, TVB News.
A weekend attack on a Mormon church in Michigan has killed 4 people and injured 8. Authorities say religious hatred drove an ex-Marine to target the Sunday morning service at the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, about 97 kilometers northwest of Detroit. The suspect unleashed a deadly storm of gunfire and arson. The suspect was identified as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, who was shot dead 8 minutes after the carnage began. U.S. military records show that Sanford was an Iraq War veteran who served in the Marine Corps from 2004 to 2008. Police say Sanford had been arrested in the past but did not elaborate. The FBI is investigating this as an act of targeted violence. And still ahead, Trump proposes a 100% tariff on films made outside the U.S. President Xi Jinping pays tribute to national heroes on Martyr's Day. And PLA Navy vessels arrive in Hong Kong for National Day celebrations. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump said he will slap a 100% tariff on movies made outside the United States in a bid to protect a business that America already dominates. Trump claims that movie production has been stolen from Hollywood and the U.S. He did not make it clear how the tariffs would operate or what legal basis he has for imposing them. Tracy Furness has more.
Posting on Truth Social, Donald Trump said the US movie business had been stolen by other countries, just like stealing candy from a baby. Trump wrote he would impose a 100% tariff on any and all movies that are made outside of the United States. He first issued the threat back in May, but has yet to specify when the tariff might go into effect. It is unclear what that would mean for the movie franchises such as Jason Bourne, which are filmed on foreign locations. It is also unclear how these tariffs would operate, since movies and TV shows can be transmitted digitally without going through ports. In cinemas, American-produced movies overwhelmingly dominate the domestic marketplace. Data from the Motion Picture Association shows that American films made $22.6 billion in exports and $15.3 billion in trade surplus in 2023. With a recent report noting that these films generated a positive balance of trade in every major market in the world for the US. This, as Trump said Monday that he was slapping 10% tariffs on imported timber and lumber and 25% duties on imported kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities and upholstered furniture. This proclamation said the tariff rates would start on October 14th, but added duties will increase on January 1st to 30% for upholstered wooden products and to 50% for kitchen cabinets imported from countries that failed to reach an agreement with the United States. The action is the first in 3 sectors that Trump said would get steep duties as early as October 1st. The others are patented pharmaceutical imports and heavy truck imports. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Google's YouTube has agreed to pay $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit with President Donald Trump. Trump took the popular video site to court after he suspended his account following the January 6, 2021 attacks on the U.S. Capitol. Google's parent company Alphabet is the 3rd major technology company to settle a number of lawsuits that Trump brought for what he alleged had unfairly muzzled him after he ended his first term in office in January 2021. Trump also settled with Facebook's parent company Meta and also X earlier. The settlement of Google's case earmarks $22 million for Trump to contribute to the trust for the National Mall and the construction of a White House ballroom. The remaining sum will be paid to other parties involved in the case, including the American Conservative Union. A senior North Korean diplomat reiterated at the UN that his country will not give up its nuclear weapons despite numerous international demands to do so. Vice Foreign Minister Kim Sung-kyung said it was crucial for Pyongyang to keep a balance of power with South Korea. Under the spotlight of the UN General Assembly's annual meeting of world leaders, Kim amplified his country's long-standing complaints about US-led military exercises with South Korea and Japan. Kim said North Korea's nuclear program is enshrined in its constitution. Rescuers ran oxygen and water to students trapped in a collapsed school building in Indonesia's East Java. At least 3 students were killed and more than 100 injured after the structure collapsed on Monday. Dozens were presumed buried in the rubble. Police, soldiers, and other rescuers worked through the night and pulled out at least 8 survivors. But rescuers also saw additional bodies, indicating the death toll is likely to rise further. President Xi Jinping attended a ceremony in Beijing today commemorating Martyr's Day. Today, this year, marks the 80th anniversary of victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression. Today is the 12th Martyr's Day. A wreath-laying ceremony was held in Tiananmen Square in Beijing to honor the people's heroes. In attendance were President Xi Jinping and other leaders. The ceremony took place in front of the monument to the people's heroes. The national anthem was played. President Xi adjusted the ribbon on the wreath, while other state leaders, children, and people's representatives paid their respects. In 2014, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress voted to designate September 30th as Martyr's Day to promote the spirit of the martyrs and foster patriotism. Two warships from the People's Liberation Army Navy arrived in Hong Kong this morning. Residents with tickets can visit them at the Nong Shun Chau Navy Base tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. At around 8 a.m., the PLA Navy warships appeared east of Hong Kong Island. The training ship Chi Ji Guang was the first to enter Victoria Harbour from Lei Yu Moon. Following closely behind was the new amphibious landing ship Yimeng Shan. They are in Hong Kong as part of a long-distance training mission. The Chi Ji Guang, at 163 meters long, is the PLA Navy's largest and most modern specialized training ship. The Yimeng Shan is 210 meters long and boasts a large cargo capacity and a long range. A survey conducted by the Hong Kong Ophthalmological Society and International Blindness Awareness Organization, Orbis, indicates a trend in the onset of presbyopia at a younger age. The eye deterioration problem causes blurry vision, and some experts urge the public to acknowledge and not ignore symptoms. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Presbyopia, a condition that results in blurry vision that's often associated with old age, is becoming increasingly common among Hong Kongers aged below 40. In a joint survey conducted between August and September by Orbis and the Hong Kong Ophthalmological Society, 42% of those aged below 40 said they experienced symptoms akin to early stages of presbyopia, such as worsened eyesight in the dark and difficulty reading smaller text. Close to 50% of all those surveyed said they used their mobile phones for more than 4 hours a day, while 83% said they would read or use their mobile phones in the dark. This, as some ophthalmic experts believe the rising number of younger individuals experiencing such symptoms stems primarily from the increased use of electronic products.
Some of the reasons we believe is, first, it's how we use our eyes, our habits. Nowadays, 50% of people, they are using their screens for more than 4 hours a day. It causes the lens and the muscles, they are focused at the near point for a long time. The second thing is, a bad habit is they try to look at the screens or read when the surrounding lighting is very dim. And this is not good for the eye. You should let your eye rest more often if you are using the phone a lot.
Dr. Ng reminded residents the necessity of changing the glasses over the years to accommodate their presbyopia progression. He added that the public should come to normalize the condition as inevitable and address the issue properly. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Before we go, a special farewell to Douglas Lam, our managing editor, who retires today for the very last time after more than 4 decades having guided generations of journalists at TVB Pearl, myself included. So his name will appear in the end credits for one last time. Once again, on behalf of TVB Pearl, we thank you so much and happy retirement. Good night.